So you've decided to buy yourself a compass, but you look around and there's an awful lot of them out there, and everybody seems to have their favorite, and nobody can really tell you why. So which one do you pick? Well, for starters, let's assume, because of the kind of things that I talk about, you're talking out normal, everyday, out in the field land navigation. You're going to march in the fields. You need a marching compass. It means you don't need a surveying compass. You don't need... These are useful, but we're not talking about backup compasses and other strange things. We don't care about strange European army compasses and stuff that we don't really use around here. And this is okay, and we'll talk a little bit later, but it's kind of a commercial model of something else we'll get down to. And that's weird, and that's cheap, and that's a backup compass. And what we're going to end up pretty quickly with is 3 basic types of compasses. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of each of those. But first, we need to talk about some basic stuff so you're oriented to the thing. Let's go ahead and get rid of these for a minute. Pick this guy. The basic parts of a compass include, well, the base. The big thing here is the base. Every compass is a base. This big iron one has a 2-part base, but it's still a base. The base includes all kinds of stuff. It can include a scale, or sighting lines, and pretty much all of them, if they're for marching, have a direction of travel line to tell you which way you're going when you've aligned everything else right. The other key thing that they have is, of course, the compass part, the capsule. That's what we call the circle that contains the needle or card. Now you presumably know what a needle is. It's the part that points north. Some compasses don't have a floating little bar like this one. They have a little disc, which we tend to call the card. Again, things vary a little bit, but for most compasses, the needle is red and white. The red part means north. There's a black dot in the middle on this standard. If you use red and white, there's a black dot that's the axis, and south is white. If you think about red-green colorblind people, don't worry about it because the red is just the dark side. The same is true, of course, of you and the dark. The dark part is north. The little white thing there is going to be glow-in-the-dark bit. Yes, some compasses don't have that. They'll tend to have something very obvious, though. The big giant arrow is the north part. The other side is south. So, you also will notice, if you look around here, a whole bunch of graduations. Little lines and numbers and letters and stuff like that. This is where we start getting into something else important about it. Do you want one with, say, 6,400 numbers here? Or one with north, south, east, west? Or one with 360 degrees around it? What are the pros and cons? Well, for starters, every compass is going to have cardinal directions. North, south, east, and west. You're probably pretty used to this stuff, and it's a pretty standard system that's been used since like nautical times forever and ever. It does break down pretty detailed, but only pretty detailed when you talk about north, south, east, and west. You can get down to north, northeast, but it starts getting pretty tedious. And that's not really enough to get you where you're going. The one you're probably most commonly used to is 360 degrees. The compass is broken up into 1 degree increments, though the capsule might only have markers every 5 degrees or something like that. But that gets you a nice, even, simple thing you know about and you practiced with in math class back in the old days. Right turn is 90 degrees, behind you is 180, divided into 30, 60, go half of 90 is 45, and so forth. A 1 degree increment is pretty small, but if you're really serious about navigating, you want to switch to mils. Mil is short for milliradian. A radian is a boring mathematical concept you don't care about, which does not make it 6,400 in a circle. It's been rounded that way for convenience for, a century or so, And sometime in the middle of the last century, NATO standardized on 6400 equals a circle. It gives you nice even numbers like 1600 or 16, 32, 48 for the whole circle. Since there's so many of them, if you have a high enough resolution compass or an artillery piece or something that matters, 1 mil is a very tiny number. 10 is getting on towards the accuracy of a degree. So this is somewhat preferred for a lot of Army purposes, like I said, artillery and other calling of fire. And since we don't like to switch systems, most armies in the world have use 6400 mil compasses now. And that's the first thing where we need to decide. When I said which compass to pick, it's do you have friends or teammates who all use the same compass? So first you find out, do they all use degrees or mils? Ask around and find out. If you're in the Army, by the way, it's mils. That will limit your choices some, because a lot of compasses don't come with anything but degrees. The model number when you're buying the compass will tend to say 6400 or 360 at the end of it. If it has a slash, that means it has both of them. A lot of them do that, and there's a small scale inside the thing, as well as the large scale on the outside. Now let's go over the differences between the three. The first one here is a base plate compass. Pretty obviously because it has a large defining base plate. The base plate has got some really neat features to it. Mostly that it's a large area that can double up as what is otherwise called a roamer or protractor. It has scales. Some of these are just rulers. Along the side there is centimeters, here's fractional inches. But these here are scales for using maps of various sizes. If you look close, you can see that says 1 to 50,000, but you can just hold it up and figure it out. Baseplate compasses tend to have some other features. This is a little zeroing mark. There's a magnifier, so you can see very small features on the map, and so forth. See my other videos for how to actually navigate with one of these, but the way that you navigate with it is a little bit different. Now, downsides to this are, one is it's very complicated. This is also a perfectly reasonable baseplate compass. If you were asking for a baseplate compass for Christmas, you might get one of these. And I have too many strings attached to my compasses. But you can see it's quite a bit less full-featured. For starters, this one's in degrees, but also it's got a smaller base plate, and although it has angles and rulers, it doesn't have the map scales. So compasses designed for military usage or for serious land nav usage have things like the map scales, so watch out for that. So that's one of the key problems with a base plate, is you have to find the right one. The other thing is that there are very few of them that are really night capable. Pretty much all of them glow in the dark if you grab yourself a little UV light and light them up, and then the light will slowly fade. A handful have like a radiation symbol on it, and that means that they're covered in little radioactive paint and stuff. But a lot of them are like this one. Because we don't use this compass in the United States for the Army, we get rare, weird imports of them from other countries where they're mostly all used up. And like this one, the radioactive paint is turned brown and it's not radioactive anymore. It's not dangerous, by the way. It just doesn't glow. So this compass, despite saying it's night capable, isn't. That makes it very hard to, can make it harder to navigate at night, and you need to at least remember to bring your little UV flashlight. The second type of compass is a mirror compass. Some people call them ranger compasses. Probably whoever started calling it that was a ranger or went to ranger school, and they call everything ranger something. I wouldn't try to search for it that way because people like Brunton and Silva and stuff call many other compasses a ranger, so that doesn't really help. The mirror compass is called a mirror compass because it has a mirror in it. Now this isn't exclusive. There are other types of compasses with mirrors. This strange little matchbox compass has a mirror in it also, but it doesn't make it a mirror compass. It's still a matchbox compass, and you don't care about it. Mirror compasses, as we think of them, are baseplate compasses with a mirror attached to one side. You'll note it works just like a base plate compass. It has the normal direction of travel line. It has the scales. Some of them even have larger cards at the bottom, so it has just as much scale and other features on it, though this one is a slightly more compact model. The mirror aids in sighting. A base plate compass, you just kind of vaguely hold up, or when you're sighting down it, you kind of sort of vaguely sight over the top of the thing to try to tell look at your distant point. There are a few other cute systems, but as far as major systems go, the mirror compass allows you to sight using that notch. Some of them have a line like this one on the mirror, and then you can see the capsule. So you can adjust the capsule or tell which way you're going. The mirror also is always on a little cover like this, so it provides some protection to the compass. It's not for like signaling airplanes or anything like that. A lot of people talk about the value of it that way. It's not for that. It's not for starting fires. It's entirely a sighting aid to make the compass more accurate. Other than that, they're basically like base plate compasses. This one happens to be a very nice, properly radioluminescent one, but is still not terrifically good at working at night, unlike the next compass we have, which is, this time, not a type of compass, but a model of compass. Although it's been made by several people several different companies for the last 60 or 70 years, this is a specific model, and they're all basically the same. The USGI Lensatic. It has no model number that I'm aware of or any other designation, so it works. There are two kinds technically. There are, as they often call them, phosphorus compasses, but they mean phosphorescent, glow-in-the-dark, and there is the radioluminescent one, like this. It'll always have a radiation symbol and some other stuff, 3H, meaning tritium. That's the chemical name for tritium, which is the glow-in-the-dark stuff. This is by far the best compass to use for darkness, for the most part. There are a few that are very, very good, but this is generally the best thing for darkness. Radioactive ones, by the way, will generally, at least new ones, are going to have the date code. So this was made in 2007. You don't need a brand new one. We can talk about, if you have any questions about why you don't need a brand new tritium compass, then we'll talk about it in the comments if you haven't gotten it otherwise. These are, we'll start with the downsides actually for the rest of it. It's extremely thick. Here's my base plate by comparison. Here's my otherwise, most people would think, thick mirror compass. It's about half as thick. The USGI Lensatic is a very thick compass, and therefore you aren't going to stick it in your top pocket. You need a compass pouch for it. It is also heavy. It is all metal. It's fairly indestructible, but not as much as you might think. If you bend it, it is still, if you drop it hard enough and so forth, it's still a precision instrument and you can absolutely break it. They get old and dirty, etc. One thing that does help, though, that is another interesting difference, is the capsule on most compasses is filled with oil. This one has one of the problems that can occur with it, a bubble. The oil dampens the needle. We can go into details someday if anybody cares about what dampening means, but if you notice, if I turn the thing, the needle rotates and settles down pretty quickly. It has some downsides, and of course the leaking, but also the depth of it. They tend to make them shallow, and therefore they have to be balanced for specific regions. There are a few global ones. The USGI compass is a global compass, meaning that it works anywhere on Earth. You have to know your declination and stuff, but it doesn't actually drag and stuff. One of the ways it does this is by being magnetically dampened. The card, this is one of those with not needles, but a card. The card floats in air. Just nothing in there but air. Maybe, probably supposed to be nitrogen or something, but whatever. And it is itself magnetically dampened, so you notice it settles down much the same way as the liquid-filled ones, but it does that using magnetic dampening instead of liquid dragging on it and stuff. It works in a completely different way. You notice by twisting this, we're not turning the numbers. The numbers are on the card. We're just turning the direction of travel line and stuff. So it's a very different sighting system. Very different navigation system, and it has a different sighting system. This uses the lens and this line up here to sight off of. So you have to know how this works and why you would care. But of course, if everybody in your search and rescue team or Army unit uses this, then you probably want one of these compasses.